The horrific prophecies of the prophet Nostradamus, which date back to 1555, all came true. His own death came first, followed by the major European wars. Napoleon, Hitler, Franco, Mussolini, Louis Pasteur, and Queen Victoria are a few but compelling examples. Nostradamus was a contemporary god of the most accurate prophecies, at least to those who were interested in time travel and future readings. The world's truths were clearly within his grasp, and he unleashed them as predictions, from occurrences like the rise of Adolf Hitler to other, more terrifying phenomena like the development of the atomic bomb and the death of President John F. Kennedy. Even though Nostradamus passed away in 1566, what if we told you that, before to passing away, he had made even more travels, time traveling into the year 2024 in his vision? What forecasts about the year may he have made, and when will they come true? Let's investigate Nostradamus and his prophecies. When considering the prophecies of Nostradamus, picture a hammer that strikes a nail precisely and drives it home. That is exactly the type of person that Nostradamus is. Are you curious about Nostradamus's identity? He was not, in fact, a religious prophet. For those who do not know, Nostradamus was a French astrologer, physician, apothecary, and famed seer. Since he came to prominence, his exact and deadly forecasts have kept people throughout the world on edge. What was said by him? The response may be summed up in one word: a lot. Nostradamus was full of prophecies of doom, many of which unexpectedly came to pass exactly as he had predicted during his lifetime. Not that these were little occurrences. Rather, they had a worldwide effect, causing everyone to shudder at the sound of his remarks. Even the intentions of nature were exposed to the catastrophic calamities mentioned in Nostradamus's prophecies before they really occurred. It would seem that the guy and his erratic forecasts were put to rest after his passing, but that is not the case. Not a year has passed since the world witnessed the prophecy of the well-known seer come to pass, even after his death. Furthermore, according to Nostradamus's prophecies, the planet has a lot in store for this year 2024. You will be alarmed by these prophecies' actuality. We have an interesting story for you initially, but we will get into them in more detail later. It is called The Man Behind the Prophecies, the story of Nostradamus. In Saint-Rémy de Provence, Provence, in the Kingdom of France, there occurred a special day in history when the great man who would influence nations was born. Nostradamus's exact birthday is a matter of considerable contention, but it is generally accepted to have been either December 14th or December 31st, 1503. Michel de Nostradamus, as he was originally known, was born into a Jewish family. A generation before his birth, he subsequently became a Catholic. Nostradamus, who had a strong passion for education, entered in the University of Avignon at the age of 14 to pursue a medical degree. Nobody would have predicted Nostradamus to be a future seer at this moment. Nevertheless, events took a sharp turn when, not long after he arrived, the bubonic plague outbreak compelled the University of Avignon to close. It was at this period that Nostradamus discovered a new role in the drug trade, investigating harsh herbal treatments to lessen people's pain. Before enrolling in the University of Montpellier in 1522, he ploughed this route for a number of years. Regretfully, despite his goal of becoming a doctor at this time, he nearly was expelled right away for practicing apothecary, which was against school policy. But Nostradamus eventually obtained his medical license in 1525. As a physician, Nostradamus was praised for his inventive therapeutic approaches that broke with the custom of bloodletting. His techniques were novel as he correctly disposed of sick remains, while also paying attention to herbal remedies and appropriate cleanliness. In addition, he brought a medication to the public that helped people with plague symptoms, solidifying his position as a powerful figure in the industry. Some believed that his ability to heal was a gift from God because of how quickly he was able to heal his victims. Therefore, one might conclude that Nostradamus was a walking success in the medical area. However, things quickly improve, and a startling turn of events occurs. Even though Nostradamus's accomplishments as a physician were well acknowledged, he was nonetheless pulled to a greater good, which leads us to his mysterious forecasts. He appeared to be answering his calling when he chose to reside at Salon de Provence in 1547. Nostradamus ventured into the occult, which was a novel approach. He participated in astrological and magical rituals, frequently spending hours in spiritual meditations with a pitcher of water and plants in front of him. What do you think? While not without consequences, these endeavors assisted Nostradamus in reaching an extremely elevated level of spirituality. He frequently entered trance-like states and saw visions through them, which turned him into a seer. Then the prophecies started coming to pass. Nostradamus wrote his first almanac of astrological facts and prophecies in 1550 based on his many visions. It served as a warning to the world about the nature of the guy he was. Despite strong opposition from the priest who challenged his astrological ideas, Nostradamus continued to make astounding prophecies. Still, Nostradamus persisted in his course. His magnum opus, Les Prophéties, a compendium of passionate and even irrational prophecies, was released in 1535. But things were not that easy. Although it remained a mystery to everyone why Nostradamus chose to keep his forecasts and prophecies hidden from the public, the book full of prophecies was written in such a way that its contents were left unclear. He used the quatrain rhyme, which consists of 4-line verses, to create a consistent literary style throughout the book in order to achieve this. Additionally, these quatrains were arranged in groups of hundreds. Each group of 100 quatrains was referred to as a century. But it wasn't all. Additionally, he made certain that several languages, Greek, Latin, Italian, and Provençal, were spoken. Nevertheless, upon interpretation, these prophecies were discovered to be distinct and occasionally of worldwide significance. To add to the intrigue, some of these prophecies gained notoriety for their singular quality of timely fulfillment, which caused many religious leaders and the general public to take notice and become enthralled with his remarkable accuracy. After receiving a great deal of attention, Nostradamus was asked to provide horoscopes for Catherine de' Medici, the queen consort of King Henry II of France. When people discovered about Nostradamus's prophecies, many thought they came from God. Nonetheless, some individuals who were exposed to Nostradamus's prophecies continue to have skepticism today. Those who not only disbelieved in the 16th century seer, but also mocked and occasionally openly condemned his prophecies, belong to this group. Nostradamus clarified that the foundation of his prophecies was judicial astrology, an antiquated science that employed the locations and motions of celestial bodies, including as stars and planets, to forecast future events. The emphasis was on the alleged effect of these heavenly bodies on earthly events and human affairs. Therefore, judicial astronomy's analysis of the heavenly bodies may also help with future event prediction, which was supposed to be Nostradamus's method of seeing into the future and producing astoundingly accurate prophecies. They will pique your interest. Why don't we investigate a few of these earlier prophecies that have unexpectedly come true? Examination of Nostradamus's well-known prophecies. Many years after the great seer's death, people are still afraid of what the prophecies of Nostradamus hold for the future. But this anxiety and worry are not unfounded. Rather, they stem from earlier encounters with Nostradamus' prophecies, which turned out to be really astounding. Some were merely indifferent, but there were also overt prophecies of doom that came true. The demise of French King Henry II is one of those prophecies. In 1556, Nostradamus had solved the riddle of this prophecy. The elder lion would finally succumb to his awful end, according to the prophecies, after being defeated in combat by a younger lion that would pierce his eye. A royal prince crushed up in chains, 3 around the middle, injured in a game. There is little question as to why so many have come to understand the subject of this prophecy to be King Henry, especially in light of what transpired 3 years later. Here was King Henry, at the tender age of 41, playing a friendly match. But as soon as his opponent's lance penetrated through the king's helmet, shooting into his skull, through the eye, and ultimately into his brain, mayhem quickly ensued. The horrific picture was quickly replaced with the king's grueling 10-day struggle for survival. After this, legend has it that he met his demise, fulfilling Nostradamus's prophecies. Even while this was terrifying, additional prophecies continued to come true. It might seem unbelievable when I tell you there also was Nostradamus's forecast about the French Revolution. Songs, chants, and demands from the enslaved populace, while princes and lords are held captive in prisons, the prophecy stated. This prophecy is generally accepted to have occurred in 1789, when the impoverished people were subject to the harsh rule of the affluent aristocrats. These will in the future by headless idiots be received as divine prayers. The French people, tired of being oppressed, rose up quickly, toppling the wealthy aristocrats and gaining control of Paris. The aristocratic, who were mostly lords and princes, were tamed and confined in the Bastille, while the shouts of the peasants could be heard along this avenue. Nonetheless, several peasants did suffer the fate prophesied by Nostradamus and were executed by hanging. One of the most terrifying and accurate predictions made by Nostradamus concerns the ascent of Adolf Hitler. Here, Nostradamus wrote about Hitler's ascent as well as his descent. The prophecy stated that Hitler will emerge from the depths of Western Europe. This is consistent with the fact that Hitler was born in Western Europe, and the depths represent his parents' poverty. Further predictions about Hitler state that he was born into poverty in the heart of Western Europe, that his tongue would entice powerful armies, and that his rule would grow across the Eastern Kingdom. A little kid will be born into poverty. The huge troop will be seduced by him through his speech. His fame will spread to the east. Ravenous creatures will cross the rivers, and Heiser will face opposition on much of the battlefield. The mighty one will be pulled into an iron prison. The German child thinks not. Hitler fulfilled his forecasts by leading the German coalition with Japan and winning over everyone with his persuasive speeches. It is said that the German army that invaded France is represented by the pieces of monsters furious with hunger. On the other hand, the more important aspect of the battlefield is how the Allied powers managed to subjugate Hitler in the end, drawing him into the iron cage. Even if this was accurate, the prophecy again pointed to doom. However, there was more. Louis Pasteur is a well-known scientist, and Nostradamus made several other remarkable forecasts. Nostradamus foresaw his destiny, saying that when the lost item is found after being hidden for centuries, Pasteur will be hailed almost as a god. Confirming this prophecy, Pasteur established himself by discovering the role of microorganisms and the critical importance of sterilization, which led to the creation of pasteurization and vaccines. This is when the moon completes her great cycle, but by other rumors, he shall be dishonored. As a result, he has gained permanent international fame. Nevertheless, this was short-lived. A historian's revelation that Pasteur had used rivals' discovery to create the anthrax vaccine cast a shadow on his career in 1995. Nostradamus had prophesied that he would eventually be dishonored, and this revelation did little to improve his reputation. The most horrific of all of Nostradamus's predictions leads us to the one about the creation of the atomic bomb. even though the truth of these predictions remains a mystery. Near the gates and within 2 cities there will be scourges the like of which was never seen, famine within plague, people put out by steel, crying to the great immortal God for relief, wrote Nostradamus, foretelling the terrifying event. After this prophecy, Nostradamus's words appeared to come true when the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan's Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. The aftermath of this deed was something out of a nightmare, with survivors pleading with God for help. For the United States at least, this was auspicious times until Nostradamus's next prophecy came to pass, shocking everyone who dared to listen. Nostradamus prophesied that John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy would be assassinated, stating, "The great man will be struck down in the day by a thunderbolt, an evil deed foretold by the bearer of a petition." President Kennedy was assassinated in 1963 as a result of this prophecy. A few years later, the US is in disarray when his brother Robert is likewise killed in the middle of the night. But well, what do you know? Even in the final moments before their fulfillment, Nostradamus continued to write and deliver prophecies about the future. He also made prophecies regarding dire things, like his own demise. Nostradamus is claimed to have passed away at precisely the same time and date that he had predicted. According to a widely accepted version of this tale, he had his townsmen vow after his death not to disturb his burial. However, this vow was broken when his body was dug up decades after he passed away. But they found an unexpected and startling finding. He had a brass plate on his chest area that contained a forecast for the precise day and hour of his body's excavation, along with his bones. But the declaration came with curses for everyone who will be touched by it. Since Nostradamus foresaw arid landscapes and massive floods, most people were not surprised by the climate change events that occurred extensively last year. He wrote, "There will be no rainbows seen for 40 years, in reference to this. Rainbows will be seen every day for 40 years. As terrifying as this prophecy seemed, people who believed in Nostradamus's words were not ashamed. The already arid earth will get increasingly drier, and large floods will erupt when rainbows are sighted. Extreme weather occurrences, particularly those brought on by global warming and climate change, defined 2023. Droughts, heat waves, wildfires, and massive storms started to occur often. Nothing had prepared the world for what may be ahead, even as they lamented the arrival of these events." As the realization of Nostradamus's prophecy for 2024, Nostradamus's forecasts for the future, which include 2024. If you felt that Nostradamus's previous prophecies had been harsh, then be ready for the world that he foretells in 2024. That world is definitely not a silent one. Nostradamus's predictions about 2024 echo forecasts that are applicable globally in audacious assertions, one of which places us on the throne of a major power. Nostradamus predicted that the present occupant of the throne may be forced to abdicate, and that Prince Harry might succeed him suddenly as monarch. The prophecies are clear in what they say. The King of the Isles will be driven out by force, and that he would be replaced by one who will have no mark of a king. You may be astonished by the forecasts, but they support this. Numerous people have taken them to imply that the monarch would abdicate and be succeeded by someone who was not prepared for the position. Even if all of this may seem unusual, people around the world are still keeping an eye on the patterns of events, since you never know what to anticipate from a guy who could foresee his own death. Nobody knows if this prophecy will come to pass, but odd things have happened in the royal family. Charles III was diagnosed with cancer, but the physicians were able to detect it early. Prince Harry, the king's estranged son who has no experience in leadership, however, returned to London as a result of the news. Though it's unclear what may happen next, we would like to believe that something might be up. However, the royalty of England cannot remain the exclusive focus of prophecies concerning 2024. In another prophecy pertaining to 2024, Nostradamus described a crimson enemy that will emerge and terrorize the vast ocean. This prophecy might signify anything from a clear spiritual occurrence to a natural phenomena based on your cryptic phrases. But when contemporary researchers examine the prophecy, the general consensus always seems to lead to China. Interpreters have indicated that the Chinese communist regime, which utilizes a red flag and other red symbols, is the red foe in this context. The phrase, "putting the Great Sea in dread," may allude to the country's ambition of dominance over the Pacific, which might result in acts that instill terror in the coastal areas. Naturally, there is room for discussion over these interpretations because there is no clear-cut winner. There are other things to be concerned about than the forecast that the seas will be filled with fear. Another of Nostradamus's forecasts for 2024 centers on the effects of climate change, which affect the entire planet rather than just one area. He predicts that the planet will be becoming uneven and arid. It's not all to be afraid of, though. Predictions also indicate that unique and noteworthy meteorological phenomena would occur. He said that instead of being waves of water, tsunamis would henceforth be waves of something more destructive, leaving farmers in the dust. Earth's climate will be catastrophic, with protracted droughts punctuated by intense flooding. Even more scary than this is the fact that this prophecy fits biblical descriptions of the world's end, which include immense upheaval, some of which would be caused by Mother Earth herself. Is it appropriate to offer a prayer for our planet at this time? You make the decision. Through the death of a very old pontiff, a Roman of good age will be elected. It will be said that he weakens his see. But how long will he sit and be in biting activity? Is another of Nostradamus's ominous predictions regarding the role of the Pope. It is assumed that this means that Pope Francis, who is currently in office, will pass away in 2024 and be succeeded by an older man. The Pope will not be discouraged, despite the criticism of many that he is not strong enough to hold the office. He would want to serve a significant term in office. The video for today has come to an end. I appreciate you staying until the very end. Will the prophecies made by Nostradamus regarding 2024 come to pass? Please share your opinions with us in the comment space below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.